So talking with Dave had really picked me up, especially with having the freedom of a car now, and I still couldn't believe Andy had actually just blown my mind, to be honest, for doing that for me. And I was so grateful, and I just reminded myself to be like more patient with Andy because obviously the death of his friend, had really it really numbed him, and I've been through that once before. When I was younger, I'd lost a very good friend who was just playing football one day and he fell and he banged his head and he died. And you know I was only young and not seeing him in school, and not going down to knock on Ian. His name is Ian. Not going down to knock on Ian's door. When I was growing up in Manchester, to knock on his door and to go out and play with him, and to go to the adventure playground and swing on the ropes and stuff. And I didn't really understand death. You don't really understand it when you're 7 or 8, 9 years of age. Your mum or tells you that they've gone to heaven, and you'll see them again one day. And then before you know it, you just kind of move on as a kid. But I never forgot Ian. His name was Ian McShane. I never forgot Ian. And I'm 60 now, and I still think about him. I kind of think about what type of man would he be now, and would we stayed in touch? Would we still be friends? All this type of stuff. But hopefully he's looking down, and he's happy as well. So, but fortunately that's just a part of life. So I just reminded myself to be a bit more patient with Andy. Give him the space when he needs the space and stuff. And Andy wasn't really pushy. He wasn't really, he didn't give me orders, and he didn't say you have to do this or you have to do that, or he would just say, look, there's some stuff over there, if you get a chance, could you go through it and log it for me, and and take the take the login codes and write them down on the paper, and just fill all it in, and just make sure if you could make sure that it's triplicate, and and that was it, and I did, and I would do it, and I would do it as quick as possible to get it done, because I didn't want Andy to turn into one of the people, have you done it yet, have you done it yet, have you done it yet, because I didn't really know Andy. I knew scratch the surface of Andy, and we all have a breaking point, and we can all be shitty, but I just reminded myself to be a bit, just to be a bit more patient with him, and not to push for questions and answers and all this type of stuff. So me and Jeff and Andy had made a date to go to the shooting range, which was really good. I was looking forward to seeing Fiona, and I was looking forward to seeing David and Dick, and have them come up and have the crack with the boys, basically, because Andy wasn't one for going out. Andy wouldn't he wouldn't say, come on, let's go out, let's go out there. He would just say, let's get something to eat, or would you like, I'm going to a movie, would you like to come with me? And most of the time I would just say no, you know what I mean, because for me, going to the fucking movies with a grown man was a bit weird, no, I didn't. I went with Andy once before, and it was weird, sitting with a grown man that I didn't really know that much, sitting in the fucking seat next to him, and him stuffing his face full of popcorn, and like, even though Andy was a nice guy, it was just weird, I'd been to the movies with Dave, which was different, but because obviously we'd grown up together, and Dave was everything to me, as a friend, and and as a cousin, and as a mentor, and as a somebody, as a confidant, so it was different in that case. But yeah, it was weird going to the cinema with an older man, fucking into a dark cinema, and you fucking, most of the time we were in there, and at the times that we went in the afternoon, there was fucking nobody in. So it was a bit strange, two people coming out of a cinema together, one, a 30-year-old and a fucking 50, 55, 56-year-old. No thanks. So yeah, not my cup of tea. Anyway, I was a bit happier. In fact, I was a lot happier that I now had a bit my own transportation, which meant also that when Fiona came up, I wouldn't have to go in and say, Andy, can I borrow the keys to your car? So I had my own now. So, and I also had Kitty. You know, mentioned Kitty to Dave. I hadn't mentioned it to Fiona yet. I'd mentioned to Fiona, or talk to Fiona next time she rang and let her know that Andy's friend Tom had died. Because as I mentioned before, she knew Andy. She'd met Andy several times up at the restaurant, and also a couple of times in David's house, when she'd be in and out there with Sue. So Andy was known on the island, you know, and yeah, she knew him. So there was lots more study of the book done. I kind of got my mind back on track and got back into the flying manual, into the FAA manual, the student pilot, answering the questions, and I was picking up very quickly. I was looking forward now to flying Andy's plane on the way to Bermuda, the takeoffs and landings especially. Planes fly themselves, or should I say planes fly themselves, and you know, once they're up in the air and they're straight and level, and you know, and they're on autopilot, they'll fly themselves. You know, they'd probably land. Andy's plane would land itself on autopilot anyway. Wouldn't be no drama with that. So, but anyway, I was learning the flaps and the degrees of the flaps to bring the plane down, the distance out where you had to start. You know, for your approach and landings and stuff. So I had to learn that. Flew a few times at night with Andy when we came back from long trips, and getting used to the runways with the approach lights, and not hopefully fucking making mistakes and landing on the wrong fucking on the grass or the wrong fucking, you know, going to the wrong runway to land. So it was all about learning them, where they were, what the names were, what to do in your final approach, and how to speak to the tower. The flying part was easy for me. I was getting really good at that. The takeoffs were much easier now, and the landings were much easier. It was just remembering to come in and pull the nose back a little bit so she didn't go nose in first. Yeah, and it was pretty easy. So and I was enjoying that. And Andy was, you know, a good, although he was an instructor, he was a phenomenal pilot, but he was very patient with me. And if I made a mistake, you know, Andy would explain the mistake. He would say, "Oh, you did this wrong," you know, and then get all pissed off. You know, Andy would, you know, if I was, you know, pulling too far back, or, you know, or the stall would come on, which I did a couple of times, Andy would say, "That's your stall warning, you know, just drop it down a little bit," you know. Andy would show me how to increase speed, to decrease speed, you know. He's very good, very, very good instructor, and he was making sure that when I was going to take my flying lessons with the guy Ono, that I was ready to rock and roll and that I had sufficient knowledge, you know, to do that. I wasn't scared of heights anymore. I wasn't scared of the plane crashing. I wasn't scared of any of that stuff. And I was very comfortable. I like to fly in the right seat because I'm right-handed. The pilots usually fly in the left seat, but I like to fly in the right seat. Being right-handed and doing everything with the gears and stuff was much easier for me. So that was what I preferred, and that's what I did. I flew the left seat a couple of times with Andy just to get the feeling of difference of pulling, you know, on the yoke with your left hand, and doing, you know, the all the gear, the acceleration and fiddling with the knobs and everything to do that left-handed. So yeah, it was kind of strange for me, so I just preferred right-handed. So that's what I was going to do. So anyway, life is moving on. It was moving on fast, even though I was bored in the house all the time, just studying and fucking watching TV and eating and, you know, working out. I had changed that routine now. I was walking a lot around the walking track, the running track. I would walk, jog, walk, jog, walk, jog. I made a priority of going to the pool in the evening time when it was cooler. Didn't always take the scuba gear, but when we got new scuba gear, I would take a set and I would try that. And then me and Andy would sell that scuba gear that was used for a you know, for a lower price, and people would buy it, you know, because they were getting a discount on it. I'd say, look, I've used it once, I've tried it, you know, just took it into the pool and tried it, you know, I make sure that it was washed and cleaned, and we could sell that, you know, still make a little bit of money on it. So that's what we did. I was looking forward to Fiona coming up. I wasn't denying that. I was really getting to like her a lot. She was on my wavelength with a lot of things. We agreed on lots of stuff. We disagreed on a lot of the same stuff. And yeah, it was going to be nice to spend a bit of time with her and just get to know her on a personal level.